Welcome, Greek Nations, episode number 396 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Allison, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our third book is called From Letters to Leaders, Leveraging Your Fraternity or Sorority Experience to Land Your Dream Job. So go and pick up that book today on Amazon. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring college students together. Fun fact, helping military families is a part of my family. My wife, Jennifer, she works for the Navy Federal Credit Union, and she helps members of all branches of the military get into residential housing all across the state of Tennessee and Kentucky, usually with no money down at all. I am so happy that there are resources to help the families of those who served our country. So if a member of your family is currently serving or has served in the past, even a parent or a grandparent, check out those resources, get the best rates, get favorable terms that you deserve for defending our country. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the military, but also how to get military veterans into your student organizations. So I can't wait to jump into this. Our next guest is Michael Allison. He is a self-made entrepreneur and philanthropist who has dedicated his life to helping other people by sharing his own story of dedication, resiliency, and faithfulness. He is the founder of the Adversity Academy and Groomed and Tailored. As a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, he was the recipient of a number of awards during his career, including the Distinguished Purple Heart Medal, several Navy Achievement Medals with 2 Bronze Stars, and the Combat Action Medal. Michael holds an MBA in business. He's also the recipient of the 2022 Distinguished Alumni Award from Indiana Wesleyan University. He's also a TEDx speaker, an author, and a mentor. Michael's mission in life is to inspire people, empower them, and make an impact in their lives. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Michael, thank you so much for having me here, man. It's truly a pleasure.
Hey, it's an honor to have you on the show. And first and foremost, let me say thank you for your service to our country. You were deployed overseas with the U.S. Marines. You were managing $2.2 million worth of government equipment every single day, including amphibious assault vehicles for over 7 years. Tell our audience, what was that experience like?
Man, it was a wild ride in the Marine Corps, but truly, truly enjoyable, man. First and foremost, if nobody knows what an amphibious assault vehicle is, it's those tanks that carry the infantry on the inside, and we operate on land and water. So if you ever see one of these 26 tons machine coming out of the back of a ship or something, and it just gets sunken in the water, then it pops back up, that's us. So it was a tremendous experience just serving in the Marine Corps. Marine Corps taught me a lot about confidence, self-discipline, leadership. Had opportunity to go overseas and defend our country. So when it came to that, I learned a lot about like the art of war, the tactics, teamwork, and some of those key skills that you needed to just develop and work on while you was in the military. Being able to manage these different types of equipment at this particular magnitude and managing people's lives and things like that was extremely, extremely important. But definitely some valuable lessons I did take away from that and just serving, and it was an honor just to serve in service, man.
That is just incredible. So I'm just so grateful that you were there. I mean, the other thing is we got to talk about the other side of it, because you survived a 2004 car bomb explosion in Iraq. So what happened to you that particular day?
Man, this is one of the craziest things that I've ever experienced in my life, and thankful that thank God that I'm able to survive that. On this particular day, we just came back. We got attacked the previous day. And we captured some guys that were shooting at us, and we turned them in. But after we turned them in, we came back out to link back up with our platoon where they were already at. And when we came back, I brought back water, ammunition, food, and things like that to resupply our unit. Our unit was set up in a 360 perimeter type of defensive position. And as me, Lance Corporal Castanelli was in the back, was moving the vehicle and just delivering all of the supplies that we just got. We came up to the last vehicle that was dropping off supplies to, and in that vehicle was a Humvee, which had my gunny in it. It had my best friend Solto, which was the driver. We had the gunner that sat on the top, and we had the doctor in the right-hand side sitting there. Spoke for a little bit. normal casual conversation, delivered the supplies. We pulled off. 10 seconds later, I heard the loudest car bomb I ever heard in my life. That explosion knocked my vehicle down. I was sitting inside of the turret of the vehicle. So if you look at the amphibious assault vehicle, half of your body is exposed and the other half of your body is inside of it. So shrapnel from that car bomb struck me, hit me above the eye, injured my shoulder, injured my back, and knocked me down inside of the tank. Once I came back to from that, we heard over the radio that for us to get out and check on these guys and see that everything was okay. Got out of that, man, and walked over, nothing but smoke, nothing but fire. And the same people that I was just talking to 10 seconds ago is submerged in a hole deeper than a pool. And the same Humvee that I just saw is now in pieces. My gunny was covered in smoke. The doctor lost half of his leg. The gunner that was manning the Humvee lost half of his face, and my best friend Solta was dead. And going through that, I couldn't believe what I was just seeing. I just was talking to these people 10 seconds ago. I was just here 10 seconds ago. And, you know, that left an impact on me, man, that whenever I get up and speak on stage, I always try to honor those guys the best way I can. And it left a tremendous impact on me, man. But that's what happened on that day.
Oh my gosh. I mean, what a story. I can't even imagine what that must be like for you, the trauma that you've been through, the loss of your friend, and their families and the impact that it has on them. I mean, there's a whole ripple effect here after
Exactly.
an incident like that happens. I mean, it's not just these guys, it's their families, it's their kids.
Exactly. Exactly.
I can't even imagine what that's like. You know, there are many people who listening who have never served. Perhaps maybe they're considering serving in the military. I mean, you know, obviously there's the two sides of it, right? You get a ton of leadership skills, and that helps. But there's also the trauma part of it that you witnessed, right? So there's these two sides of it. Can you talk to our audience a little bit about your military experience and specifically how does that translate into success in the corporate world?
Right, definitely. So when it comes to war, we could train and prepare for going into war. The outcomes of war, we don't know what that's going to turn out and what that's going to look like, you know, so we have to be mentally, try to be as mentally tough as we can to build up that mental fortitude to deal with and have that resolve once you're going through these types of situations while you're in war. During peacetime, for the most part, you're just going to do your normal day-to-day job while you're serving, learning all of your different skills, your MOS skills, and just working with your different comrades while you're serving, doing whatever job it is that you're doing. In particular to the corporate world, when you get out, you know, I kind of struggled a little bit when I got out of the military. So when I got out, I was still trying to find like employment. I did not get my college degree at that particular time while I was in. Luckily, though, going to the service, I was able to obtain the GI Bill. So I used that to go to college once I got out. So I was able to get my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, and a couple of different IT certifications through the GI Bill. But what I would say that helped me while I served and how it correlated to corporate world was I had a different, I looked at things from a different perspective in regards to what some people may see it as in regards to like adversity and challenges and things like that, where I was able to handle pressure. I was able to deal with things in high intensive situation. I had the value of teamwork. I had the value of understanding what diversity, equity, and inclusion meant when working with men and women, different ethnicity and different types of things across the world. Because once you come in and serve in the service, you're just green. You're just, there's no color or anything like that that's tied to it. You got to work with everybody and make sure you get the mission accomplished all together. So it taught you really fast how to not look at people in a certain way, but definitely just see them and appreciate them for who they are and what they do. Another thing that I would say, the biggest thing for me was when it came to leadership, I saw how it helped me empowering people to give them leadership skills, give them the ability, have them pouring into them so you could get the most out of them. So mentoring and coaching, those types of skills came out of the service. I was able to employ those with my employees now, which I see as a quite benefit when just relinquishing, like you don't have to be like this helicopter type of leader, like give these people responsibilities and things like that and let them flourish and let them shine. And then they'll want to take on more responsibility. They'll want to feel like more like a part of the team while they're working for your brand and for your company.
You're an incredible leader. I can tell immediately. And, that skill set, that viewpoint, that lens is incredibly important in the corporate world, even, within student organizations too. Ultimately, with the GI Bill, you decided on Indiana Wesleyan for your undergraduate experience, also your master's degree there. You got the 2022 Distinguished Alumni Award winner. So obviously, there was a great relationship between you and Indiana Wesleyan. So I'm wondering, you could have gone multiple places. Why did you decide on Indiana Wesleyan specifically?
Several things, man. Their core principles, their values, and ultimately, it's a school of faith, and I'm a man of faith. I grew up in the church. I grew up with my mom and dad, always just talking to us about having faith and belief, and there's a higher power that's actually creating for us, providing for us. And when I learned more about Indiana Wesleyan University, they did align with all of these values for myself that I held in high regards. In addition to that, the university reached out to me and talked to me about my service and how much they appreciated me in regards to what I've done for this country and how they would love for me to be a part of that. And I went there, graduated, and from there, I just been doing some things out in the world, just trying to make an impact and make a change in this world. And then a couple of years ago, they reached out to me and said, "Hey, we've been watching you, seeing what you're doing, and we would like to honor you for what you're doing out here in this world." And lo and behold, I received the 2022 Distinguished Alumni Award. And a fun fact, or something I just want to add here, I got a phone call. I was at the post office 2 weeks ago, and they say, "Hey, we would love for you to sit on the alumni board."
Ooh.
So it's
Wow. See, these are things that you probably never thought would ever happen.
I never even thought of that.
Those are the best kind of surprises when you get a call like that and you're serving on the board of the university. That's pretty amazing stuff right there. And it's great to hear that there was, a parallel in terms of your own values, what you were taught by your family, by your religion, and the university. It just goes to show that those things are really important. Those core values of the university, it could be of the student organization. Those are things that students look at to determine, is this a good match for who I am and where I'm going to be spending the next 4 years, 7 years, however long you're going to be there. And the other interesting thing about you is you actually worked for Florida Atlantic University for a couple of years as their director of military and veteran affairs. And many of the students who are listening right now, many of them are members of the fraternity and sorority community on their campus. And I'm telling you right now, they would love to have the leadership that you possess, other veterans in their student organizations, because these students who are military veterans have tremendous leadership skills. I mean, you're
Absolutely.
one example of it, but I mean, line them up. I mean, they all have leadership skills, and we need those leadership skills in our student organizations. So how can they make their student organizations, like fraternities, like sororities, how can they make them more attractive to military veterans to join?
I'm going to tell you exactly what I did when I went to Florida Atlantic University. When I went there, I saw that there was a disparity with the veterans that was involved. So what you'll see is mostly at the university, there's a small population of the actual veterans themselves, but a good bit of them were dependents. But what I also learned was we was trying to find a sense of camaraderie. We were trying to find a place of belonging. We were trying to find a place where we could integrate and work with people and not feel a certain way, not be treated a certain way, because there's stigmas that's carried around if you served, if you're a military or if you're a veteran, those types of things. And we had to lower the barriers to those types of things, or remove those types of stigmas that is out there. So what I started doing was working with these different organizations, just like sororities and fraternities, and then different school departments. And we started inviting them to our events and things like that. And they started inviting us to their events. And then on top of that, the school started making more things that was catered towards Veterans Day, 4th of July, 9/11. So we started integrating, doing different activities that was really serving the veteran population, the veteran community, letting them know that they were appreciated and they're more than welcome to be a part of these types of things. From that, man, I started seeing veterans showing up to different things for the football game, showing up to different things for the baseball game, showing up to different like homecoming things and like that, different pep rallies, those types of activities, different school engagements, just from just creating different types of engagement where we were partnering and doing things together. And it was a beautiful thing just to see that.
That is great. And I agree with you. I think the veterans that come on the GI Bill, they're looking for that brotherhood. They're looking for that sisterhood. They want the camaraderie. And we have organizations that, believe me, that brotherhood and that sisterhood is there. So I feel like we have a really good match. But I agree with you. I think, the fraternity and sorority system has to go to the veterans office and make those connections and make sure that all the veterans on campus feel that they're welcome at these places. And you're going to have to go out there and put yourself out there and ask and invite. I mean, people aren't just going to show up at your events because you're a student organization. You have to ask other people to come and make that
Definitely.
one-on-one invitation.
Definitely. I will add to that as well too. I had spoken to another leader that was in another department, and I said, if a veteran do not know and they're researching and looking, you have to start putting that on your websites. You have to put that in your literature. You have to put that in your pamphlets. These types of things that we don't even think about those things when we're creating it. And he said that was one of the biggest things that they were missing out. So we looked at a pamphlet and it said nothing for the veteran community. You're welcome to come here or join us or any of those types of things.
Yeah, great points. I really like that a lot. Now, you have been able to get a tremendous amount of media attention on places like ESPN, BET, CNN, NBC, CBS. How can our student listeners get that kind of media attention about their stories or their organizations?
So for me, I some people might think that I'm an introvert and I don't really communicate well a long time ago. But I really had to get out of my shell and get out of my comfort zone. And that's exactly what I did. And once I started doing that, I started telling my story. And once I started telling my story and just felt much more freer with communicating, talking to people and things like that, working on my own personal development skills, my story just started resonating and spreading. And people wanted to hear my story in regards to the kid from Jamaica, went through tons of childhood trauma, went through some personal things in my personal life and how to overcome those types of adversity. And then from there, I started just offering my services and started delivering value. And then once that started happening, different doors started opening. So when it came time for me just to start delivering, offering these different types of service, Comcast said, "Hey, Michael, we see what you're doing with the company Groomed and Tailored. We love what you're doing. We'd love to have you working with our platform, and we're going to open up the doors for you to work with BET, MTV, these different types of channels." So one door opened up and they gave me the access to all of these different doors once that opportunity popped open. And that was something that I had to take advantage of. That's how that opportunity turned out for myself. But it was from me just starting putting my company out there. So I use social media platforms, I use newsletters, I use one-pagers, I created my own podcast. So I started getting my stuff out there on YouTube. So I started putting myself out there, started telling my story, started showing my brand and who we are and what we stand for. And that started getting some recognition. One person said it, told another person, and it just started spreading, man. So once you get out there and just get out of your comfort zone and just start telling your story, things will happen, And then I had to become resourceful. So, and for some other things that I got some recognition for, I was looking and seeking for, do I align with this company or with this brand, and would there be an opportunity? So I started sending emails, sending my text messages, started making connections and different types of things, making sure that they work. And I think that's a part of like networking and just trusting yourself, having faith and belief in yourself. And that's exactly what I did.
Absolutely incredible. I tell you what, I'm more motivated than ever just talking to you. I think it's awesome just being like in your orbit. It's just so cool. And I forgot to ask you about that motivation piece because you're the founder and CEO of the Adversity Academy. Your mission there is to inspire, impact, and empower people by helping people evolve and become what you call world changers. The problem is motivation, I think, more than anything, because what I see, and maybe you saw it a little bit at Florida Atlantic as well, is it just apathy on college campuses, and that eventually turns into disengaged employees in the workforce, and that's a big problem. If you talk to business owners, what they're saying is they have a lot of disengaged employees. So for you, how do you empower and motivate people to do the work?
So for you to empower and motivate people to do the work, one of the big component is inclusivity. And I will touch back on again on the diversity and equity and just empowering people, and giving them a sense of responsibility and sense of accomplishment. I went to a business masterclass, and from the masterclass, I took from there how to love bomb your employees, and love bombing employees, like really highlight them, spotlight them, showing them in front of their peers too, when they're doing really great things. And then once you start doing those types of things, their peers will be like, okay, I want that, I see that. And if you do have employees that may shun up on those types of things, maybe those aren't the employees that need to be inside of your organization. But for the most part, whenever you're like employing people, you need to empower them, you need to give them responsibilities and things like that. For you as a business owner and a leader, you need to work on yourself too. So I had to work on myself with accountability, responsibility, had accountability partners, mentors, so I could become a better leader to help lead my team and things like that. So once you start doing those types of things, you'll see how those things that you're learning for yourself starts radiating into your people, where you're just pouring that into them. Like I'm not the type of person that I get this amount of knowledge and I just keep it to myself. So if I go and learn something, we're having a workshop next week. We're going to have a training session next week, and I'm going to give you single thing that I just learned to empower you, so you could go ahead and start doing the same things, or you could pour it into other people too as well.
Wow, that's incredible. I love how that just radiates through your entire organization. And you're absolutely right. I mean, recognition for your employees, that goes a long way. And even in your student organization, there are people that are just motivated by that. They're not motivated necessarily by money or tangible things. It's more about being recognized in front of their peers. That's what they seek. And if you're not doing that kind of thing, it might not even cost you a lot of money. Maybe it's just printing out a certificate and getting a frame at CVS. We're not talking about a lot of money, but what it's the recognition in front of their peers. That's what they crave. And if you're not doing that, I'm telling you what, you're not motivating some of the people that work for you. I guarantee it.
Absolutely, man. I found that, when I was the director at Florida Atlantic University, and I used to sit down with veterans and things like that, some of the students would simply just want somebody to talk to, just want to be seen. They're just sitting in their rooms all alone. So I created a program where we got them service dogs to be with the students and things like that. So ultimately, people want someone to talk to. People want to socialize with somebody. They just need to find the right connectivity to get that out of them. So if you're creating that environment where everyone is involved, everyone feels appreciated, everyone feels spotlighted, that actually encourages people to want to show up every single day for themselves, show up for you, show up for work, and just be absolutely highly productive.
Yeah, now you're getting into Maslow's hierarchy, which is that everybody needs love and belonging. And that's something that I craved when I was at the university too. I was at a university at Buffalo as an undergrad with 30,000 students. I mean, 30,000 students can feel overwhelming for a kid that, never knew more than a few hundred, right?
Right.
And so you get lost in the shuffle a little bit. And I know that feeling about what it felt like as a first semester freshman, sitting all alone in my dorm room with nobody to talk to. And all you want is love and belonging. It wasn't the academics that was necessarily hard. It was just fitting in, just finding that social outlet and have people to talk to. I mean, that was really, really high for me. And I know there's other students on campus too.
I 1000% agree with you. My son is 16 years old and he's getting ready to go to college, or we're just starting to look into different colleges for him. And we went to a college fair 2 days ago, actually. And one of the biggest things that we spoke to all of the different representatives was, what was our campus life like? What is the student atmosphere like? That was one of the biggest key that we asked in regards to us sending our kid away to another environment, another state, these different types of things that we want to make sure our kid is going to be taken care of. We want to make sure our kid is going to feel appreciated.
Yeah, that's a trip when your son goes to college. My son just started this fall, and boy, oh boy, I mean, that is just wild to think that, you have a kid on college campus and just trying to find his own way, just like you did. And it's pretty cool. I went to go visit him last week just to kind of walk to class with him. And it was the coolest feeling ever. Just talking to him as we were walking between classes on how things were going, and if there's anything I could do to help him. But that's pretty cool, and I know he's going to be successful. Just trust in the process, and everything is going to work out just fine. I promise you.
Absolutely.
Just keep it moving. And you wrote this great book. It's called Overcoming Adversity. What is your advice to college students who are going through a difficult time right now? Because a lot of them, they feel a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety around their classes. And we're not even talking about the heavy financial burden that we're putting on today's college students. And that causes a lot of anxiety as well. Am I going to be able to pay back all these bills, or am I going to be living in my dad's basement because I can't afford to do that? So, what is your advice for these students that are completely stressed out?
Wow, great question, Michael. So for me, when I wrote this book, Overcoming Adversity, Getting Your Life Back on Track, I wrote it for myself because I needed a space of just an outlet to deal with some of the things that I was dealing with that I bottled in for over 40 years in my life. And once I wrote it, I found that it became a sense of relief in regards to just letting go of things that I was bottling in and keeping on the inside. And eventually I came to the point of how to handle different types of like stresses and things like that. And I put that inside of the book, and how I got through different like financial challenges, how I got through different stressful situations and things like that. And the core problem to any issue for myself is me. So I need to identify how, if I'm a part of the issue, how can I fix this issue? So for myself, I had to truly identify what is my true identity in myself. Then I had to start taking full authority into this life that I'm given, and what can I do about it? So I had to learn doing an audit and doing an inventory, and started taking responsibility for the things. That included the people and the friends that I surrounded myself with. And then any actions that I've taken. So just taking full accountability for anything that I did. And then I wrote down 3 things: decision, direction, and destination. And that's what I speak about now in regards to the 3 Ds. So I had to write down, what is the destination of where I'm trying to get to? Then what are some of the decisions that I need to make to get to this destination? And what is the direction I need to go through this decision and get to this destination? And once I started writing those down and putting things down on how I need to get there, then it just became much clearer on what I needed to do step by step in regards to getting to my actual goals. So once I started putting those things in place, I found that the answers just started revealing themselves. So if it was some financial issue that I was dealing with, somehow I was able to apply for this financial opportunity, $2,000 showed up. Somehow I was able to utilize the skills that I have now. So like for a kid that's in school right now, you may have some consulting skills. You may have these additional skills. Like I could share with you guys, or I could send you the information after this, but there's about 6 platforms that if a student is in school right now that is great at math, English, business, you name it, that will pay them $500 an hour just to help a company and consult. So I started doing these different types of things to help with just offsetting different things in my life that was kind of stressful for me. But then I started like implementing these things, and it really helped me. And what really came from all those things that really helped me was when I said I'm going to work on personal development. So I got an accountability partner, I got a mentor, and I got a coach. And these people help create blueprints for me that help solve all of these questions and all of these things that I was looking for. So just like a kid in school that may be struggling with some of these things, there may be counselors or people that are in place that can help them navigate some of these challenges that they're dealing with to solve some of these problems.
I can tell this book, it's called Overcoming Adversity, is going to be very, very helpful for the college students who are listening right now. So go out and pick up that book. It sounds absolutely incredible. And I'm so happy that you wrote it because, as men, I feel like, we're just taught to bottle everything up inside and not let that stuff out. Right. And I'm sure with the military, same thing. I mean, you're bottling up all of those feelings inside. So I think just writing it, I think probably was very therapeutic for you to get all of that stuff just off your chest and onto paper, and the relief that you feel once you put that down. I know what that's like because I've done a lot of writing. I'm in a doctorate program right now, and there are things that you don't deal with, you don't resolve. It's just bottled up inside of you. But when you write it down on paper, there's something releasing about that just makes you feel a whole lot better. I mean, did you feel that when you were writing the book?
Man, you just took the words out of my mouth, Michael. So, I was bottling a lot of things in, and I'm going to be totally transparent here on your show about some things, man. So, growing up in Jamaica, we went through a hurricane and a flood, left us homeless. I came to America, lived in Miami, Florida, and the first night that I got there, something traumatic happened to an 8-year-old kid that should never happen to a kid. I joined the Boy Scouts, took a trip to Washington, D.C. In a hotel room, something like that occurred again. I was in high school, had the opportunity to go to University of Wisconsin, tore my ACL and MCL back-to-back years, scholarship got taken away. Joined the Marine Corps. After 9/11 hit, I knew that I actually was going to go to war, and I just shared with you my story. That was just one of the stories that took place in Iraq. Mm-hmm. Got out of the service, man, was unemployed, then saw 2 suicides, and that put me back in the hospital. I worked on a railroad, and I saw 2 suicides on the railroad, and that really sent me into a funk. I got married twice, got divorced twice. I tried to commit suicide, and through all of those adversities, I was bottling all these different types of things in. And it was just until I shared with you, like, me starting to take a responsibility and accountability and just fixing all of these pieces that was fractured and just changing my life, man. And once I did those things, I went to Rush University to learn all about what was going on with myself, and went to the medical hospital there. So just really trying to channel in all of things around like cognitive thinking, NLP, PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, and just understand what's going on with myself personally. Then I went to Emory Hospital and went to go learn the same things again, and went through a really intensive treatment there too as well. Then I really plugged in with my faith and the men's group at my church, and started working with those guys just to get closer and centered and just much more grounded with what was going on in my life. And it was through some of those practices, some of those things, I eventually started changing my life, doing better things. And from there, my personal life got better and my career started getting better as soon as I started doing all those things, man.
That's just incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I know that there are some people who are listening right now that are just in a funk, like you described it, just in a bad place. And it
Right.
just goes to show that you can center yourself. You can get mentors. You can learn about what's going on with you, so that way you understand it better and figure out how you're going to get over those obstacles. And you're living proof of it. I mean, you're on the other side of it. You're successful. And, despite all of that, all of the obstacles and everything else, here you are doing your thing, So I just, I'm here to say that I'm proud of you. And I'm just grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that you're able to help other people to help find themselves and to help center themselves as well. And so thank you for what you do, man. I just all the respect in the world for everything that you've done. So thank you.
I appreciate it, Michael. Thank you so much, man. Much respect, man.
All right. Well, listen, to our listeners, if you enjoyed this talk with Michael Allison, make sure that you like it. Make sure that you share it on social media with other college students. His book is called Overcoming Adversity. Incredible, incredible book that would be very, very useful to college students all over the country. And go and check out his company. It's called the Adversity Academy. Just absolutely incredible, the work that he's doing there to inspire, impact, and empower people all over the world. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our listening audience. We hope to see you on another episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.